You don't think betrayal is going to come from the person who brings you your morning coffee. But that's how it was with Harold. 42 years of marriage, 3 grown children, 5 grandbabies, and a shared mortgage that still hadn't gone away because Harold insisted on refinancing the house to help his brother start that landscaping business. That should have been my first clue, really. But when you've been married that long, you stop looking for red flags. You start assuming things are just routine, familiar, harmless. I used to laugh when younger women said, "I just have this gut feeling." Well, let me tell you something. Your gut is never wrong. Mine started twitching the day Harold left his phone on the kitchen counter. Screen up, unlocked. That man guarded his phone like it held state secrets. The last time I touched it, you'd have thought I tried to disarm a bomb. So that morning, when he walked outside to take call and left it behind, my hand hovered over it. I wasn't proud, but I was curious. And in our house, curious doesn't just kill cats, it exposes grown men. I tapped the screen and saw a text preview that made my heart knock right into my ribs. "You taste like honey when you whisper my name." I stared at it. Not from me. Not from any woman I recognized. Just a contact saved as M. I clicked it, and there it was. Weeks, months, photos, voice notes, secrets. And then I saw a message that hit me like a slap. "Harold, are you sure he doesn't suspect anything? I hate lying to Anthony." Anthony, Harold's brother, her husband. Oh, Lord. I sat down right there on the kitchen tile. The cold felt good against my legs. I needed something solid, something real, because what I was reading was not my real life. I scrolled back further. I shouldn't have, but I did. Plans to meet at motels when Harold told me he was volunteering at the VA center. Gift she'd send him, signed with pet names. Him saying she made him feel alive again. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. Instead, I took a slow breath. Because when you're 68 and you've raised kids, buried parents, and stretched one chicken to feed 7 on hard weeks, you learn that revenge doesn't have to be loud. It just has to be timed right. And I already had the first piece of my plan. Harold had forgotten to change his cloud backup password, and I still had the logins. You don't make it to 68 without learning how to sit with your feelings. I've sat with grief, sat with joy, sat with a pot roast in the oven and a bill I couldn't quite pay. So when I sat with betrayal, I didn't rush it. I let it wash over me. I let it hurt, but I also let it teach me. That night, Harold came back inside with his usual phony smile and a takeout bag like it made him husband of the year. "I got your favorite," he said, kissing my cheek. "Extra shrimp." I smiled. You always remember the details. He didn't know I'd seen everything. Didn't know I'd listened to that voice note 3 times. Didn't know that I had already changed the password to his iCloud and downloaded every chat image and deleted message onto a flash drive I kept hidden in my sewing drawer, right between the spools of burgundy thread and the fabric scissors he never touches. I didn't ask questions. I didn't confront him. I watched. Carefully. He thought he was being slick. Said he had a meeting at the church on Wednesday nights. Said his brother Anthony was thinking about remodeling his backyard again and needed help with the design. Funny, I never once heard Anthony bring it up. Not in the group texts. Not in the awkward cookouts we still occasionally dragged ourselves to. Not even during football Sundays when the men disappeared to the garage and we women nursed lukewarm sodas and talked about grandkids. So I started doing something I hadn't done in years. I paid close attention. I tracked his lies like a librarian tracks late returns, where he said he'd be where he actually went, what shirt he wore when he left, and how it smelled when he got back. I made a spreadsheet. Yes, ma'am, a spreadsheet. Color-coded, with timestamps. You see, Harold may have been cheating, but I still remembered how to run a household, balance a checkbook, and raise 3 kids on a single income for years while he found himself. And the more I read those messages, his dirty talk, her pathetic little hearts, and kissy faces, the less I felt broken. I started to feel something else. Certain that I wasn't going to waste one more day being lied to. Certain that I deserved better. Certain that this time, Harold was going to be held accountable. Not in secret. Not behind closed doors. in front of the entire family. So I waited until the perfect moment. And then I chose a Sunday, because that's when our family group chat always lights up. When all the nieces, nephews, in-laws, and outlaws share pictures of brunch, church outfits, or ask who's bringing what to the next cookout. I'd been quiet in that chat for weeks. Until now. Because that Sunday morning, while Harold was still in the shower, I took a deep breath, opened the chat, and started selecting screenshots. The kettle was whistling on the stove when I opened the family group chat. I let it scream a little longer than usual. I wanted the tension in the air to match the one twisting in my chest. My thumb hovered over the screen while Harold sang off-key in the shower like a man, without a care in the world. There were already a few Sunday morning messages in the chat. Cousin Leona had sent a picture of her new living room curtains. My niece Kendra posted a filtered photo of her toddler with blueberry-stained cheeks and the caption, "This boy stays hungry." Someone else asked if the family reunion cookout was still on for August. Harmless, domestic, safe. I scrolled up past it all. Found the last time Harold had sent a message. Beautiful day with family. Nothing matters more. That was 2 weeks ago. I nearly laughed. I sipped my tea. Then I started uploading. Screenshot 1. A selfie of Harold shirtless in a motel mirror, holding a styrofoam cup of coffee. Caption from him. Room 217 again? Screenshot 2. Her response. Tell your wife you're helping with landscaping again. I'll leave the door unlocked. Screenshot 3. A full thread of their conversation. Plans. Times. Emoji-laced affirmations. And then the one that set the whole fire for me. I wish he was more like you, Harold. I'm so glad we found this escape together. Escape. As if I was the prison. As if my marriage was some trap they both needed to crawl out of behind my back. I pressed select all. Added one more message to the front of the drop. To the whole family. Since y'all love Harold and Marlene so much, I figured it was time you got to know them a little better. These are all from the past few months. Don't worry. I have more if anyone needs clarification. Happy Sunday, Beatrice. And then, send. At first, nothing. Just the subtle delivered under the last message. I stood and stirred my oatmeal slowly, my ears half tuned to the sound of the water, shutting off upstairs. Then it began. What is this? Kendra. Wait, who is Marlene? Cousin Terrence. You're kidding. This is a joke, right? Leona. A flurry of little green dots began to fill the screen as people started typing. Then, a single message dropped like a bomb. That's my wife. From Anthony. My hands didn't shake. My pulse didn't race. I just smiled. Harold came down the stairs a few minutes later, towel around his neck, whistling something from Marvin Gaye. He was halfway into the kitchen when his phone buzzed like it was possessed. His smile fell. He picked it up. You ever watch a man's soul leave his body? He scrolled. Stopped. Scrolled again. Turned to me with a face I hadn't seen in over 40 years. Pure panic. B, said, his voice catching. I made breakfast, I said calmly, placing his bowl of oatmeal on the table. Go ahead and eat. You'll need the strength. He didn't move. Just stood there, barefoot. Towel still hanging from his shoulder, the phone screen glowing with message after message. Confusion. Shock. Judgment. And truth. The silence between us was volcanic, waiting to erupt. But not yet, because I wasn't done. Harold didn't eat. He just stood there in the middle of the kitchen with that phone, clutched like it might save him, as if gripping it hard enough could undo what I'd done. But you can't unboil an egg. The messages kept coming in like rain during a thunderstorm, unforgiving, loud, and soaking everything you thought was dry. Tell me this is fake. Anthony said, sounding devastated. How long has this been going on? Disgusting. You both are trash. Yet another reply. Beatrice, are you okay? And another from his cousin, Anne. I told y'all something was off about Marlene. Didn't I say it? A message from his aunt. I could tell Harold wanted to speak. His mouth opened and closed like a man swallowing his own breath. But he was too afraid of what might come out if he did. And then the house phone rang. We haven't used it in years, but it still sits by the fridge. One of those old cordless ones I refused to throw away. When it rang, we both froze. Harold didn't move, so I picked it up. Hello? There was breathing, heavy, like someone had been pacing, hands shaking. Then, is he there? I turned, looked Harold dead in the eye. He knew. I held the phone out toward him. It's your brother. He didn't take it, so I pressed speaker. You slept with my wife? Anthony's voice cut through the kitchen like a blade. You came to my house, ate my food, hugged my kids, and slept with my wife? Harold finally spoke, his voice low. Tony, I can explain. Don't you dare try, Anthony shouted. I swear to God, Harold. How long? How long has this been going on? I folded my arms and leaned against the counter, watching Harold like he was a cornered man, which he was. 5 months, I answered. Both men went silent. Started after the 4th of July barbecue, I added. First motel meetup was August 3rd, Motel 6 off Route 29. She wore that red floral blouse. You remember the one? She said you bought it for her birthday. Anthony swore under his breath, so loud I could feel the heat rise through the phone. I'm coming over, he said. And if he's still there when I get there, he'd be sorry. I clicked end call. Harold looked at me like I'd set his world on fire. I'm sorry, he said finally. Quiet. Broken. No, I replied, shaking my head slowly. You're sorry you got caught. You're not sorry for what you did. I didn't mean for it to happen. You didn't mean for it? I laugh hollow. Was it an accident when you sent her that playlist called Our Late Night Mix? Were you possessed when you said she made you feel freed from the weight of a dead marriage? His eyes widened. I read everything. You called our marriage dead. But, Harold, it was only dead on your side. I was still here, still showing up, still making shrimp Alfredo every damn Thursday because you said it reminded you of our honeymoon. He looked down. I picked up his phone, scrolled through the now exploding family chat one last time, then tossed it on the table. You should go, I said, before Anthony gets here. He didn't argue, didn't pack a bag, just walked to the door like a man headed to a funeral, his own. The door clicked behind him, and in that sudden silence I sat down at the kitchen table, pulled my tea back into my hands, and whispered to myself, that's one less liar in this house. But I wasn't done yet, because Marlene hadn't said a word in that group chat, and I was about to change that. It was nearly 2 p.m. by the time I changed out of my robe and into something decent. Not for anyone else, just for myself. A soft lavender blouse, black slacks, and a pair of silver earrings Michael bought me for our 30th anniversary. I hadn't worn them in a while. Felt like the right day. My phone kept buzzing, even while I stood in front of the mirror applying just a touch of blush. I didn't want to look angry. I wanted to look composed, because when you expose someone, they expect a mess. What they never see coming is grace. I poured myself another cup of tea, then sat at the kitchen table and opened my contacts. Marlene. There she was, still saved in my phone as Marlene's sis-in-law. I hovered over it. For a moment, I thought about deleting it, but then I got an idea. I typed one sentence and hit send. You forgot to unsync your old iPad, sweetheart. Then I attached 5 screenshots. One of her moaning Harold's name in a voice note. One of her asking if I ever suspected anything. One of Harold saying, she thinks I'm at church. One of her saying she hated sex with Anthony. And finally, one with both of them laughing at my crochet pictures I posted in the family group chat. Said I looked like a bored old librarian who smelled like Vicks. That one stung. A few minutes passed. No reply. I could see the typing dots start and stop. Then her number disappeared entirely from my contact list. Blocked me. Coward. I opened the family chat again. It had exploded. She left the house. Anthony. I just threw all her stuff on the lawn. Unbelievable. B, I am so sorry. You didn't deserve this. Then, finally, after hours of silence, Marlene responded. I won't defend what I did. I was lonely and stupid. I'm sorry to Anthony. I'm sorry to the family. I'm especially sorry to Beatrice. It was too late for all that. She added, I'm going to take some time away to reflect. Reflect? She had nearly destroyed a marriage, lied to her husband, disrespected me, the woman who once stayed up sewing a pillow with her name on it for our last Christmas gift exchange. I replied once, just once. Take all the time you need. But know this, not every silence is forgiveness. Some of us are just finished speaking. 23 people reacted to that message. Thumbs up. Hearts. The shocked emoji. Even Harold's cousin Ruthie, who usually stayed out of family drama, dropped a quiet, clapping emoji. And then the best part? The group chat went quiet. Not a single message for the next hour. No one knew what to say. Because when someone like me speaks up, someone they never expected to bite back, it doesn't just change the tone. It resets the balance. I stood up, finished my tea, and started vacuuming. Because even after you burn down someone's fantasy, there's still a house to clean. And I still had living to do. By Monday morning, the drama had trickled from wild group chat chaos to private texts filled with carefully chosen words. The storm had quieted, but the damage? Oh, it was done. Harold hadn't come home. Anthony changed his locks. Marlene deactivated her Facebook. And I finally took a full breath without feeling like someone else owned the air in my lungs. At around 9:15 a.m., my youngest daughter, Liana, showed up on my porch with 2 coffees and a paper bag of warm cinnamon rolls. Her eyes were already brimming when I opened the door. Mom, she said, pulling me in tight. You should have told me. I let her hold me, but only for a moment. Then I stepped back and smiled. I needed to handle it my way. We sat on the porch swing, the kind Harold always said he'd fix, but never did. Funny how it held just fine without him. I saw everything, she said gently. And I'm not going to lie. Part of me wanted to burn their cars to the ground. I chuckled. I considered it. But screenshots were easier to pass around. We sipped coffee, watched the breeze play in the maple trees across the yard. Mom, she said quietly, what happens now? And that was the question, wasn't it? What had happened now? Well, I said, for starters, I've already called a lawyer. I'm not waiting around for Harold to try to worm his way out of anything. The house is in both our names. I want it sold. I don't need this place to breathe. She nodded. And I'm moving, I added. I've always wanted to be closer to the water. Her eyes widened. Really? Yes. I've already looked at condos near Myrtle Beach. Nothing fancy, just something with sunlight and peace. Liana was quiet, blinking back a few more tears. You really are doing this, huh? I'm not just surviving this, I told her. I'm finally starting over. And I don't want to waste another minute shrinking myself for people who don't see me. It was the first time I'd said that out loud. And it felt good. Freeing. Later that day, my other 2 kids called. They apologized. They promised support. My son even offered to help me pack. You were always the glue, Mom, he said. And I'm sorry I took that for granted. Funny thing about glue, it holds things together, but no one notices it until it starts to crack. And mine? Well, I'd held this family together through cheating, lying, funerals, babies, unpaid bills, and Christmases that should have broken me. But I was done being glue. Now I wanted to be something soft and solid for myself. I opened my laptop that evening and emailed a real estate agent in South Carolina. The subject line? Ready for my next chapter. And for the first time in a long time, I slept through the night. No tossing, no turning, just peace.